In a world overshadowed by doubt and despair, where the light of truth flickers like a candle in the wind, a question arises: who are the chosen ones? Among the bustling streets filled with noise and chaos, Elara, a seemingly ordinary young woman, finds herself at the heart of an extraordinary calling. Shadows whisper secrets to her, visions dance in her dreams, leaving her yearning for answers. Can one soul truly change the tide of destiny? As Elara navigates this labyrinth of uncertainty, she must embrace her awakening and uncover the mystery of her true nature. Elara awoke to the soft light of dawn filtering through the curtains of her modest apartment. The world outside was filled with the hum of life, cars honking, people rushing by, and the distant laughter of children. Yet, within her heart, a storm of emotions was brewing. From a young age, she had been different. The world that others saw was cloaked in a veil of familiarity, while she sensed shadows moving behind the veil, whispers of forgotten truths echoing in her mind. Her journey began on a chilly autumn evening when she first experienced one of her vivid visions. Sitting in her favorite cafe, sipping a warm cup of chai, Elara suddenly saw colors swirling around her, golds and purples entwining in a dance. Images flickered: ancient trees with gnarled roots, a temple draped in vines and secrets, and a figure cloaked in light that beckoned her forth. When she blinked and returned to reality, the warmth from her cup was the only reminder of where she stood. Confused yet intrigued, Elara began questioning the nature of her visions. Could they be the product of an overactive imagination? Lonely nights sprawled on her couch provided the backdrop for her search for meaning. Books stacked high in her living room held sacred knowledge, stories of those who had walked the mystical path ahead of her. Tamarind, a local mystic shopkeeper, spoke of the chosen one's souls destined to awaken humanity's dormant powers. One fateful day, Elara visited Tamarind seeking guidance. The shop smelled of sandalwood and incense, and soft music floated through the air, creating an atmosphere thick with magic. Tamarind, with her wise eyes and gentle smile, began their conversation. The universe has a language that speaks to those who listen. What is it that you seek, dear child? Elara could hardly contain herself. I want to understand these visions. I want to know if I am one of the chosen ones. Tamarind studied her for a moment, reading the story written in Elara's soul. The chosen ones are not just figures of folklore. They are real beings who embrace the journey of spiritual awakening. But with great power comes great responsibility. You may find yourself doubting your path. Fight not only your external battles, but those that brew within. Those words hung in the air, like a promise and a warning as Elara left the shop. Architecturally, her city was a juxtaposition of the old and new. Tall glass skyscrapers mirrored the sky, while ancient buildings whispered tales of yesteryears. Terracotta rooftops called to her from afar, yet the deeper truth lay like an ancient secret waiting to be uncovered. As days turned into weeks, Elara pored over the books in her apartment, her fingers grazing over the words as though they were sacred stones. Her understanding of the world shifted. It became a place of possibilities and energies intertwining, where age-old stories merged with her reality. Every page painted the magic of compassion, the rawness of human emotion, and the divine forces that snaked through life's tapestry. Over time, her visions grew more intense, becoming not just images but experiences. She visualized the temple amid swirling fog, and as she was consumed by these images, she felt a pull to journey towards it. It was as if the very ground beneath her was crying out for her touch, wanting her essence to intertwine with the sacred land. However, Elara faced skepticism from those closest to her. Her friends, once excited about her search for meaning, began to worry. One evening, as they gathered for dinner, Elara shared her latest vision: the temple and a gathering of people bathed in golden light. "What are you talking about, Elara? This sounds absurd," interjected David, her childhood friend. his brow furrowed with concern. You've become obsessed with these fantasies. What happened to reality? The room fell silent, each friend exchanging worried glances. It was in that moment she felt the weight of her solitude. The flicker of longing for understanding lit her heart afire. She knew the journey ahead would not only demand strength but resilience against those who cannot see beyond their immediate view. Elara sought comfort in the natural world. A nearby park served as her sanctuary. It was there, beneath a sprawling oak tree, with its roots deeply entrenched in the earth, that she first encountered others like herself. A group gathered, their eyes shining with curiosity and deep-seated wisdom. They shared stories of their awakenings, visions of bright orbs that danced in the night sky, sounds of laughter from angels, and feelings of love that transcended dimensions. As they united in this circle, Elara felt warmth enveloping her, the whispers of the universe echoing through her. Here was a place where abandonment found no refuge, a family of souls that embraced one another's light. Together, they shared practices of love, healing, and intention, unraveling their powers while realizing the necessity of weaving this newfound connection into a collective tapestry. However, shadows lingered at the fringes of this awakening. A malevolent force began to take shape, an entity that thrived on the doubts and fears of humanity. Invoking chaos, this darkness sought to corrupt the bonds Elara and her newfound companions forged. Elara's world swerved toward turmoil. She started sensing a darker energy wrapping itself around her community, feeding off their fear, making them question their truth. This manifested in a nightmare when one of her friends vanished during a gathering. Panic settled in, like a specter, gnawing at her insides. Despite the tumult, a flicker of determination ignited within her. Elara realized that embracing the light meant also confronting her fears, the darkness threatening to engulf them all. Through her chaos, she began to understand that her path was more than just her personal awakening. It was a call to both light and shadow. Her evolution was woven intricately with that of her community, and the only way to defeat the encroaching darkness was to stand united against it, harnessing their collective energy to ignite the fires of hope. Elara's heart raced as she emerged from the park, filled with uncertainty, but also a burgeoning sense of purpose. Her new friends had opened her eyes to the profound connection that exists among the chosen ones, and she felt the urgency of their shared mission. However, the encroaching shadow that loomed over their circle weighed heavily on her mind, casting doubt as thick as fog. The disappearance of her friend Clara was a clear sign. They needed to act, to stand together against the dark forces that threatened to drown them in fear. It was during a late-night gathering that the group convened in a candlelit room, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Each flickering flame danced during their deep discussions. Shadows fell on the walls, various expressions etched into their faces ranging from anxiety to determination. Elara took a deep breath and addressed the assembly, her voice steady yet fierce. "We are stronger together. Clara's absence proves that we cannot ignore the shadows stalking our heels. We must find the temple I have seen in my visions. It's a place of power which may hold answers to combat the dark energy gathering against us." Mark, a gentle soul with a deep connection to the earth, nodded vigorously. "I've felt it too, something unnatural stirring beyond our reach," he responded, his voice echoing Elara's sentiment. "If we harness our abilities collectively, think about what we can achieve." As they spoke, Elara recalled the vivid details of her vision. The temple nestled in the mountains, the vibrant energy pulsing from it like a heartbeat. But that pulse felt weakened in the wake of Clara's disappearance. They needed to restore the balance, to rekindle that sacred power. Hashing out their plan, each member began to share their unique abilities. They discovered the multifaceted nature of their gifts: intuitive healing, strong manifestations, the ability to connect with the spiritual realm, even telepathy in some instances. Elara marveled at how myriad strengths united in purpose could become a force of nature. With their powers intertwined, they could stand against anything. As the night unfolded, participants shared their individual experiences with darkness, the whispered doubts, the fear of abandonment, and the pain of broken connections. Each story was a thread woven into the greater tapestry of their collective journey, resonating deeply within Elara's heart. The stakes now felt palpable. An invisible thread was pulling them closer to their calling. With newfound energy, the group fused together, preparing to channel their powers as one. They decided to visit the mountains to locate the temple in her vision. The following weekend, a feeling of sacred urgency infused every interaction at that moment. However, beneath the enthusiasm lay an undercurrent of fear. Alliances of darkness were forming, and they were but mortals standing on the threshold of an ancient battle. As the sun rose on Saturday, anticipation fluttered in Elara's chest. She met her friends, each with lit eyes and hopeful hearts, before heading toward the mountains. The trek was adorned with the vibrant hues of autumn, crimson, and gold leaves crunched beneath their feet as they climbed. The journey was far from simplistic, with steep slopes reminding them of the challenges they faced. However, as they ascended, they shared laughs, fragments of their hopes lighting the weight of their fears and doubts. When they finally reached the temple, a staggering sight greeted them. Ancient stone pillars stood like guardians, casting long shadows in the waning sunlight. It loomed before them, adorned with intricate carvings that whispered stories of old. Elara stood before the entrance, feeling a surge of energy and pulsating light calling to her. This was more than a structure. It was a sacred vessel waiting to awaken. "Wow," Mike breathed, taking in the scene with awe. "We're actually here." Their expressions mirrored their emotions: wonder, trepidation, and excitement blended as they approached the opening. As they entered, darkness enveloped them momentarily, yet the temple's walls glowed faintly, as if responding to their presence. The air carried scents of sage and aged wood, grounding them in the moment, even as echoes of time past resonated through the halls. The shadows danced on the walls, creating moving images of figures lost in time, speaking to them in hushed voices of wisdom. Elara closed her eyes, letting the atmosphere envelop her. The temple pulled on her. It was alive, a reservoir of ancient energy seeking expression. She envisioned Clara, her friend's laughter vibrant in her memory, her absence painfully present. "Clara, where are you?" Elara whispered to the vastness. Moments felt like hours, each heartbeat heavy in the silence that followed. Suddenly, the air shifted. An unseen presence brushed past her, sending tingles down her spine, and she opened her eyes to a vision: the cloaked figure she had seen before in her dreams, but this time it was clearer than ever before. A sense of calmness washed over her as the figure beckoned her forward, urging her to look deeper in the darkness. Elara stepped further into the temple, her pulse quickening while the others stayed clustered together, their gazes darting around the immense stone walls. The light ahead pulsated as she approached it, beckoning her closer. "Come," the voice seemed to sing, hearty yet distant. It was like a call to destiny, echoing the heartbeat she had felt from the temple itself. As she stepped into the illuminated space, Elara felt overwhelming energy flooding into her. Her senses heightened, and she closed her eyes, welcoming the experience. Visions flooded her mind, images of Clara, their shared laughter, and moments filled with warmth. But they shifted, transforming into wrestled encounters with darkness and despair. Flashes of cruelty and loss lingered threateningly. "Face it, Elara," the voice echoed, guiding her through the swirling images. "You must confront not only the darkness outside, but the darkness within, for only then can you become a beacon of hope." Each of Elara's breaths deepened. Courage surged through her as she opened her eyes to the group still gathered by the entrance, restlessly shifting. It was time to share what she had witnessed. "Listen," she spoke, urgency lacing her voice. "This place holds immense power, but it will demand our unified strength. We must confront our inner demons and acknowledge our fears. The shadows are not just outside. They dwell within us too." The weight of her declaration landed on the group like a tangible force, yet an understanding flickered across their expressions. They nodded, the resolve intertwining their spirits, forming an unbreakable bond ready for the journey ahead. Elara felt not only her purpose crystallizing, but the pull of responsibility flowing through her as well. They were a circle now no longer isolated, but a collective force that would rise against the darkness threatening to consume them all. Together, they pulled their strengths into manifestation and called out for unity. The flickering lights of hope ignited, illuminating their path toward the truth and towards rescuing Clara from the hold of despair. Each pulse was a promise, a signal that they would rise together as chosen ones with their collective resolve. Elara and her friends stood at the center of the ancient temple, the energy swirling around them like a living entity. They had settled into a circle, eyes closed and hearts open, ready to embrace their destinies together. Elara took a deep breath, focusing on the pulse of energy that surged beneath the temple, a heartbeat synchronizing with her own. It was a reminder that they were not alone in this fight against the darkness. As silence enveloped them, Elara began to see visions once more, this time clearer and more vivid than before. She caught glimpses of the past, of the ancient guardians who had once protected this sacred space. They were beings of light, instilling hope and unity throughout the ages. Yet their light had waned. Shadows had crept in, feeding on fears and despair, and now it lay dormant, a reminder of the fierce battle that raged for generations. "Listen closely," Elara urged as she opened her eyes and saw her friends' expectant faces. "These guardians are our ancestors, and they speak to us. We must awaken their light once more, or darkness will continue to reign. But how?" Sophia, a vibrant energy healer, asked, her voice laced with determination. "If the shadows are feeding off fear, we need to embody our greatest strengths. We can't let doubt win." Elara felt warmth rising in her chest. "We must face our inner fears, directly acknowledge them, and then transform that energy into light. Our greatest power lies in the love that binds us. We'll channel that love and create a protective force strong enough to drive out the shadows." With renewed determination, they each began to share their personal struggles, the shadows that whispered to them in the night, the beliefs that held them captive. Each story added weight to the circle, filling the air with palpable energy. As they spoke, the shadows seemed to pulse closer. A sense of urgency hung thick in the air. Mark confessed, "I've always been afraid of failing to be the one who doesn't measure up. At times, I feel like I'm unworthy of this journey." As he spoke, Elara sensed a dimming of his light, clouded by the weight of self-doubt. Sophia moved beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "We are all worthy, Mark. Recognize that your fears only have power if you let them. Let us transform that fear together." Elara echoed her sentiment, feeling the energy between them shift. "Embrace your truth and share your essence. Let the love we hold banish the doubts within." As they continued, each story revealed the cracks within their hearts. Elara herself spoke of feeling abandoned, of her fear of not finding Clara again. But as she shared her fears, she recognized the love she held for her friend burning brighter than the shadow of doubt. As if in response, a warm light began to build within the temple. Vivid colors swirled around them, illuminating the sacred architecture as their voices melded into harmonious vibrations. The air crackled with electric energy, answering their call to transform shadows into light. Then, Elara felt a ripple, a sudden surge of presence that made her freeze. The protective guardians, illuminated by their love, began to manifest around them. Whispers filled the room, carrying promises of power and hope. You are the chosen ones. Rise to reclaim your light. The energy vibrated around them, coalescing into brilliant rays of energy streaming from each heart. Elara could hear the guardians within whisper the ancestral songs, wrapping their harmonies around the group. The shadows encroached, sensing the growing light, and began to pulse threateningly. Together, Elara shouted, rallying her friends. Unite your energy. Transform this space with love. With a collective breath, they released their fears, and in its place, Elara felt love washing over her like warm sunlight. It pulls through her, igniting her spirit, transforming it into a beacon, a call to Clara and any who languished in shadow. The light flowed through each of them, illuminating the temple until it became a sanctuary of brilliant energy. In that moment, time itself lost its grip as they became the embodiment of unity, love, and hope. Their fear dissipated into fragments, swirling into shadowy corners. It was then that the shadows attempted their assault, dark tendrils lashing out, seeking to extinguish the light. Yet they were met with a radiant barrier, bright radiating energy pulsing outward as the chosen ones formed an impenetrable shield. Waves of warmth emanated from their hearts, replicating the love that had united them. Hold fast, Elara commanded. Let nothing break our bond. In response, the guardians grew powerful, their presence swelling until it intermingled with their own, infusing them with ancient wisdom. Spiraling together, they created a spiraling vortex of light that consumed the darkness. As Elara's focus sharpened, she could sense Clara's presence still lost among the shadows. She felt her friend calling out, a distant melody soft yet suffocated, weaving through the terror. That's it. Clara, I can feel you. Elara cried out, resonating with the warmth that surged from her soul. We are coming for you. By focusing her energy, she channeled it toward Clara, sending pulses of light dancing across the cracks of darkness surrounding her. They formed a luminous path, a beam of hope guiding Clara home. In an instant, the shadows lurched violently. The vortex ripped through the darkness, creating ripples that shattered the oppressive hold. Light surged, revealing figures enclosed in the tendrils, and Clara emerged, illuminated within the energy. Clara's eyes were filled with both fear and resolve, but as the light reached out towards her, she clung to it, and a surge of recognition flared between them. With another push, Elara felt their combined energy explode forth, creating a crescendo of illumination that pierced through. Clara emerged from the shadowy abyss, their hands touching as the warmth enveloped them. I knew you'd come, Clara whispered, her voice breaking but radiant. Elara pulled her in as laughter erupted among the group. They had triumphed over the darkness, if only for now. Exhilaration flowed through them as they embraced in that luminous space of the temple, knowing that they were no longer just a group, but a formidable force of light against any darkness that would dare to spread its grip. However, that victory sinking into realism reminded Elara that their journey had only just begun. The battle was not concluded, and the darkness would surely return. She felt it whispering. The roles had shifted, but the war was still on the horizon. We shall fight again, Elara reminded them, her heart resolute. They all stood together, stronger than ever. We will prepare and face whatever comes next, and deep within that temple, a resonating promise was born. The light had awakened, and they were now bound in purpose, ready to rise for what lay ahead. Elara and her friends stepped back from the heart of the temple. Their victory felt exhilarating, yet precarious. The energy within was palpable. It thrummed with potential, as though the walls themselves were alive with their collective triumph. They had united their powers and rescued Clara, but with darkness still lurking, they understood their mission was far from complete. I've never felt such power, Clara breathed, her eyes shimmering with wonder. What we just did, it was like magic. Elara smiled, yet her heart was heavy with foresight. Magic can be a double-edged sword, especially if those shadows return. As they made their way out of the temple, the brilliant rays of sunlight poured through the entrance, casting long shadows behind them. Elara paused at the doorway, looking back toward the sanctuary that had awakened their strength. Something hidden whispered in the depths of her mind, a realization that the temple itself seethed with untold stories and ancient powers waiting to be unlocked. "You felt it too?" Mark asked, his voice low, yet edged with excitement. "The manifestations of our gifts were just the beginning. There's more here, isn't there?" "Much more," Elara replied, her heart pounding in sync with the thrum of the energies surrounding them. "We only just scratched the surface. I can feel the Guardian's still-wise energies that could guide us. We need to understand the legacy of this place. It's not just a temple. It's a wellspring of knowledge." As if in response, from deep within the temple, a low resonating sound echoed, beckoning them to explore further. "Let's see what else we can uncover," Clara suggested, her voice full of renewed determination. Together, they gathered once more, curiosity igniting within them. Returning inside, they split into pairs, engrossed in their quest to uncover the truths hidden within the stone depths. Elara paired with Clara, exploring the eastern wall adorned with ancient carvings, images of the chosen ones from ages past, battling against the same darkness they had just faced. As they traced their fingers over the intricate designs, Elara felt a surge of energy. Visions flickered before her eyes, brave figures leading the charge, sacrificing themselves to protect the light. Each carving conveyed a critical lesson, layered deeply in history, one that echoed in the present. "This is a reminder," Elara whispered. "They fought for the light, but they too faced losses. We must learn from their stories. We are part of this continuum." Clara nodded in understanding. "And their strength became our strength. This temple not only protects, but also holds the key to our evolution." Meanwhile, Mark and Sophia had ventured into a cavern, where flickers of energy danced like fireflies. Mark approached an orb of light pulsing along the cold walls. It vibrated in harmony with his essence. "I feel it responding to me." It's like he paused, searching for the right words, like it recognizes my spirit. As he reached out to touch it, the orb exploded with brilliant rays, showering him in luminescence. In that moment, the warmth engulfed him with memories of childhood and innocence, a reconnection with the child he had always been. Sophia, seeing the transformation, joined him. "Embrace it, Mark. It's unveiling your potential." The depths of the cavern radiated bright light as energies intermingled, drawing the others closer to witness this awakening. Elara could only marvel at the unfolding journey of her friends and knew in her heart that each of them had a role to play in the inevitable confrontation with darkness. They reformed again, energy coursing through them and connecting effortlessly, solidifying their bond. It was in these moments of vulnerability and courage that they understood the essence of their mission: to stand as one against the shadows gather outside the temple walls. As they exited the cavern, Elara began relaying her vision to the group. "The chosen ones before us fought hard and sacrificed, just as we must. We can reclaim knowledge from these experiences. We will piece together the legends they left behind to better combat what lies ahead." Sophia proposed, "Let's keep searching for more artifacts, powerful relics that might aid us. This temple is a treasure trove. We could gather wisdom through exploration." Every corner of the temple was alive with potential, woven throughout its structure. Each moment excited Elara further, the spark of adventure igniting within her spirit. Yet, amid the exhilaration, a flicker of fear nestled at the back of her mind, a reminder of the impending darkness. As they delved deeper, sounds began to shift. Whispers echoed through the temple, an unsettling sense of dread crawling down Elara's spine. "Something feels off," she murmured, glancing back towards the exit. The shadows slithered outside, alive with anticipation, seeking retribution for their temporary defeat. Elara recalled the power of their earlier confrontation, the moments when hope eclipsed despair. The collective bond would be their strongest shield. Suddenly, a deafening roar reverberated, shaking the very foundation of the temple. The guardians above flickered uncertainly, responding to the looming threat. "We must reinforce our circle," Mark shouted above the din, the looming shadows creating a web of uncertainty around them. "Gather together," Elara exclaimed, leading them to the temple's heart. The once sacred space began to shimmer as they formed their circle, ready to face whatever emerged. Just as they locked hands, the shadows burst forth into the temple, swirling like a tempest intent on snuffing out the bright light they had cultivated. "Stand firm." Elara's voice either resonated throughout the chaos. She focused her heart's light toward the shadows that threatened the gathering. Drawing on the love they had distilled, they ignited the energy within their circle, sending waves of shimmering light into the darkness. Elara felt the power wrap around her like armor, protection against the malevolence. But as the shadows lashed out, she sensed something different. They were not merely external, the dark forces were trying to pry through each member's heart, planting seeds of doubt. "Remember our purpose. We are chosen ones together," Elara shouted, pushing past the encroaching fear. As their hearts beat together, they channeled their love into a protective barrier, pushing back against the specters that clawed for entrance. Through the swirling chaos, visions flashed before their eyes, past losses haunting, a collective of fears threatening to undermine their purpose. "No," Elara cried, realizing the true battle lay within. "Face those fears. Do not let them claim you." With that realization, each member acknowledged their shadows, retracting their holds but fortifying their spirits. Clara's voice transcended the turmoil as she courageously spoke. "I release you, doubts. You do not define me." The unified proclamation erupted across the circle, a cacophony of courage resonating. In response, radiant light intensified, illuminating the very essence of their beings. The shadows writhed, feeling their power dissipate like smoke before the wind. Elara felt the threads of the circle tightening, lighter than air, allowing them to rise, transcending the darkness. With every heartbeat, their combined light surged forth, pushing the shadows back until they escaped the temple, shrieking into the silence. They stood together, breathless in the aftermath, watching the shadowy remnants evaporate into nothingness. "What was that?" Clara whispered, glancing at Elara, astonished. "It was our first true test," Elara replied, feeling the adrenaline fade and serenity wash over her in waves. "And we passed." In that moment, Elara recognized they had not only triumphed over external forces but had discovered something within. A heightened strength was forged in unity with the power of acceptance. As they shared subdued smiles of relief, Elara realized that though the journey ahead would be arduous, hope had taken root. They were no longer solo travelers, they were warriors of love, united and emboldened, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Further along the crucible of their awakening, with the shadows banished from the temple, the air felt lighter, and the atmosphere shimmered with possibilities. Elara and her friends stood in a circle, clasping hands as if tethering their spirits together, their eyes reflecting the sense of accomplishment and hope radiating between them. The echoes of their fierce battle echoed in the recesses of the temple, a reminder of the strength they had nurtured within themselves. Yet, amidst the triumph, questions lingered in the air, and Elara felt an insistent tug at her consciousness, urging her to consider their next steps. "What does this mean for us now?" She spoke softly, looking around at the circle of faces, each filled with determination, yet uncertainty clouded the edges of their expressions. Mark, still riding the wave of adrenaline, spoke first. "I feel as though we have just begun to scrape the surface of what this temple holds. We've awakened its energy, but the real challenge lies before us. But now we know our strength," Clara replied, her voice steady and resolute. "We've faced our shadows. We've risen against them. That's not something to overlook." Elara nodded, her heart swelling at Clara's words. "Indeed. Each of you not only battled the shadows outside, but confronted the shadows within. We've awakened a power that can't be easily extinguished. Their collective resolve hung in the air, electric and alive." Elara envisioned the temple as a nexus, a source of ancient power that would continue to guide their journey. Every heartbeat was a reminder that each chosen one had the ability to ignite the light within them, supporting one another through this monumental awakening. Inspired, Elara suggested we should explore further. Perhaps there are relics, scrolls, or wisdom hidden in the corners we've yet to discover. We can weave those lessons into our paths ahead, buoyed by her enthusiasm. The group moved as one, exploring the deeper alcoves of the temple, examining beautifully etched stones that held the stories of their forebears. Each step deepened their understanding of the struggles faced while reinforcing the message that darkness and light were intertwined in the dance of destiny. As they carefully navigated through passages adorned with mystical symbols and shimmering crystals, they discovered small altars to the guardians, remnants of those who had fought before them. The elements here seemed alive. Stones thrummed beneath their feet, and every whisper carried wisdom from the ancients. Elara felt a gentle breeze brush against her skin, and she paused at an altar engraved with the image of a fierce warrior, painted with swirling energies. "Look," she exclaimed, drawing the group near. "This one is marked with the emblem of resilience." Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes as she gazed upon the workings of the past. "They were once where we stand now, battling their fears and doubts. Their legacy can guide us." Mark stepped forward, tracing the warrior's outline with reverent fingers. "If we can learn from their trials, we might be able to navigate our journey more wisely. To own our roles in this story." As Elara ran her fingers over the engravings, they ignited within her greater truths, a realization that their experiences intertwined with the legacies of the past. We can honor their sacrifice by carrying their lessons forward. This temple can be a haven for the chosen ones yet to awaken. In that moment, a vibrant energy surged through Elara, as if the essence of those ancient warriors was flowing through her veins, rekindling her resolve. "Let's create our own markings, sharing our stories here for those who come after us," she proposed, her voice laced with excitement. "We can inscribe our own messages, our victories, and our wisdom. This place can become a sanctuary for all who seek enlightenment." With each one of her friends embracing the idea, they gathered stones and began carving their symbols and messages into the temple walls. It became a cathartic experience, each stroke of the stone resonating deeply within their spirits, imbuing the space with their life stories and aspirations. When Elara etched her symbol, an intertwining heart and spiral, she felt it mirror the eternal dance of light and shadow that must coexist in harmony. Hours turned into what felt like moments as they filled the temple with their collective energies, laughter, and reaffirmations of purpose shaping the surroundings. The temple pulsed with an essence, their boundless love, their fearlessness. It captured their story as they entwined it with the history of those who came before them. Finally, as twilight began to grasp the horizon, Elara stepped back from her work, gazing upon the indelible marks left behind. This is a legacy, a lineage that will inspire hope. Here, we are not just chosen ones. We are all part of something grander. Yet, even as they celebrated their collective achievements, Elara's heart felt the echoes of apprehension. They had strengthened their bond, but the darkness was undoubtedly on the horizon, regrouping, plotting its return. As if reading her mind, Clara offered a reassuring smile. "Whatever comes our way, we will face it together, right?" Elara nodded, the warmth in her chest glowing as bright as any flame. Yes, we are never alone. As the group emerged from the temple, hope enveloped them like a new dawn. Soft whispers of wind carried the sense of earth and shared laughter, reminding Elara that they were forever entwined, hearts beating together in an intricate dance between light and shadow. Stepping outside, the world was painted with fiery hues of sunset, the sky transformed into a canvas of gold and crimson, reflecting the beauty of possibilities that lay ahead. In that breathtaking moment, Elara knew the journey of the Chosen Ones was only beginning. Their battles would continue, but they would not face them alone. Together, they now held the power to shape the future, carving pathways toward enlightenment for themselves and those who would follow in their footsteps. Elara felt a surge of purpose echoing through her spirit. It was time to rise and embrace whatever awaited them beyond the horizon. Let's return and gather the others to share our story, ignite their courage, and prepare for the fight ahead. Elara declared. They were no longer mere participants in a story. They were the authors of their destiny. And so they set forth, hearts united, ready to engage in the love and light they would share with the world, emboldened by the wisdom of the past, ready to forge an extraordinary future. In the days that followed their exploration of the temple, the air grew heavy with anticipation. A sense of foreboding settled over Elara and her friends, whispering warnings through the winds around them. The darkness they had thwarted was stirring, and with ever-increasing urgency, they prepared for the inevitable confrontation ahead. Their moments of light and joy were interspersed with the mounting fear of what the shadows would unleash. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long silhouettes over the land, Elara stood in front of her friends, heart racing. "I can feel it," she said, sensing the shift in the energy surrounding them. "The darkness is regrouping. It isn't finished with us yet." Mark's brow furrowed. "We've grown stronger together. They won't have the same hold over us as before. We must confront whatever comes next." Elara nodded, but her heart quivered in uncertainty. The voices of doubt began to creep back. What if their bond wasn't enough? What if they failed? Just as these thoughts threatened to consume her, Clara reached out, clasping her hand. "Remember, Elara, we've faced our fears. We've embraced the light within. Remember the power we've unlocked." However, at that very moment, a chilling wind swept through the clearing, rustling the leaves and extinguishing the small campfire that had illuminated their gathering. Darkness enveloped them, and the shadows began to swirl, seeping into their sanctuary like an insidious fog. With eyes widened in fear, Elara braced herself against the encroaching darkness. It was as if the air vibrated with hostile intent, a tangible force seeking to pry them apart. Echoes of laughter filled her mind, the laughter of those who had succumbed to the shadow's embrace. She felt the weight of despair seeking to anchor her down. "No, we will not succumb," Elara shouted, her voice ringing out like a battle cry. In her heart, she realized she faced an internal battle as much as an external one. The shadows were not merely aiming to rob them of unity. They sought to fracture their spirits and plant seeds of doubt. Suddenly, a figure materialized from the darkness. A dark silhouette stepped forth, cloaked in shadows formidable and fearsome, towering over them. Elara's breath quickened as fear tightened its grip. "You thought you could defeat me," the figure hissed, voice low and relentless. "You're nothing without your doubts." The entity was an embodiment of their fears, manifesting what each of them hidden deep within their hearts. It twisted, stretching, transforming, pulling from their thoughts and emotions, amplifying insecurities and despair until they felt trapped within a whirlwind of confusion. Sophia stepped forward defiantly. "You are wrong. We are not alone, and our doubts only make us stronger. We will fight." Elara could feel the energy contorting around them, But as her friends echoed Sophia's sentiment, the vicinity ignited in flashes of light. Their combined love began to coalesce a counterbalance to the darkness, and Elara felt herself rise, emboldened by the sentiment. Together, she called, reaching out to clasp hands with each of her friends, grounding themselves in unity. As they channeled their collective energy, she closed her eyes and conjured vivid images of their victories, the light they had ignited together, and the love that had illuminated their spirits. The darkness roared in response, shattering the swirling shadows around them momentarily, but with every heartbeat, they melded their energy, creating a barrier of light. It was powerful, radiant enough to combat the darkness' smothering grasp. "Face it, Elara." The voice of the cloaked figure resonated around her, threatening to breach her resolve. "Without your doubts, you are nothing. Didn't you fear? Didn't you feel unworthy?" As terror swept through her, Elara summoned her courage. She remembered her journey, the losses, the struggles, but also the indomitable spirit she had discovered. "I refuse to be defined by anything but love. Love is what binds us, what elevates us." The shadows recoiled as Elara forcefully embodied her power, and golden light poured from her heart, seeping into the darkness. Clara stepped forward, echoing Elara's determination. "Those shadows do not control us. They do not define our journey. I release you, doubts." The cloak of shadows grew agitated, flickering as the shimmering light surged forth from the friends' clasped hands, pushing against the dark entity with sheer force. United, they became an unbreakable force, determined to extinguish the malevolent entity before them. Together, they shouted in unison, hearts and souls igniting as one. With the culmination of their energies, Elara felt the darkness begin to unravel. Fear melted away in the presence of their love, and the light that radiated engulfed the dark figure, forcing it to retreat, dissolve, and ultimately vanish. Just then, silence fell, and the shadows receded, the oppressive weight lifting. Elara felt a momentary drowsiness settle in as the shimmering light enveloped her, but she anchored herself in that warmth. In that moment of unity, Elara and her friends transformed into beacons of hope, having faced their greatest challenge. The darkness had not only tested them, but forged them into something far greater, warriors united in purpose and love. As they stood together, breathless yet triumphant, Elara felt waves of relief wash over her. The battle had been won, but deep within her heart, she knew the struggle was a continual journey. Their mission extended beyond defeating darkness. It was about empowering each other, facing fears, and awakening humanity's dormant souls. A profound sense of readiness surged through her. They had transformed not solely for themselves, but for all who had joined them on their path toward enlightenment. And as the dawn crested the horizon, Elara and her friends felt a renewed aura of strength, ready for whatever the universe had in store. As the first rays of dawn filtered through the trees, casting a golden glow over the land. Elara and her friends stood together, worn yet invigorated from their harrowing battle. Cool air surrounded them like a gentle embrace as they basked in the warmth of the sunlight emerging from the horizon. They had faced their greatest challenges, reclaimed their light, and fortified their bond as chosen ones. Elara took a deep breath, feeling the essence of everything they had overcome permeate her being. Each heartbeat resonated with love, hope, and the unshakable knowledge that they were not alone. The shadows may rise again, but the light they had kindled would shine fiercely, illuminating the path forward. Several steps away, Clara clasped Elara's hand, her eyes sparkling. "We did it, Elara. We confronted our fears. I can't believe how powerful we've become together." Her excitement was palpable, and it ignited something deep within Elara. She smiled, heart swelling with pride for her friends and their shared journey. "Yes, but remember, this is just the beginning. We've awakened something within ourselves, and it will ripple out into the world. there are still many who linger in the darkness, unaware of the light within them. Mark nodded, enthusiasm thrumming through him. If we share our knowledge, our experiences, we can awaken others. They need to know they hold the same light. Together, their vision crystallized. It would be their mission to traverse beyond the temple, to reach out to those who felt lost and alone. They would forge pathways, reviving dormant energies in others, sparking flames of courage and connection wherever they went. As they descended the mountain, their laughter intertwined with the whispers of nature, the forest around them thrumming with life. Each step felt lighter, and Elara sensed the ground beneath her feet shifting invigoratingly, as though it welcomed their journey ahead. Elara knew that the eternal dance between light and darkness would persist, but they were equipped with a newfound strength as a unified front. They would return to their community, regroup, and organize others who resonated with their mission. The chosen ones would expand, gathering more light and awakening hearts. Upon reaching the foot of the mountain, the friends gathered in a circle once again, clasping hands. "Let's make a vow," Elara suggested. "A promise that together we will rise to every challenge, protect each other fiercely, and shine a light so bright it brings hope to all who seek it." "Agreed," chorused her friends, their voices harmonizing in an echo of unity. As they dispersed, Elara felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over her. She understood that her journey had only just begun, but she no longer harbored any fears or doubts. She had faced them, embraced them, and transformed them into strength. As she walked alongside her friends, she felt a profound connection to the universe, the infinite energy flowing among them, guiding and nourishing their spirits. Overhead, the clouds formed beautiful shapes, as if the universe itself bore witness to their awakening. As Elara gazed skyward, she realized that each brilliant sunrise symbolized not just a new day, but an opportunity, a chance for all of them to seize their gifts and share them with the world. With a heart full of love and purpose, Elara took a step forward onto the path that stretched before her. She knew it would be filled with challenges and revelations, yet she felt a stirring deep within, a calling to embrace the light and illuminate the way for others. This was just the beginning. As the story of the chosen ones bloomed, they would inspire those craving fulfillment, crafting a beautiful mesh of shared destinies. And perhaps, in this journey of discovery, they would one day learn that each person held the power to awaken and illuminate not only themselves, but entire generations to come.